when I'm in story mode, which is most of the time, all the time, that's when I'm trying to just nurture my relationship with my followers. Because then over time, I feel like that's how you can convert them to clients. Gone are the days like 5 things you need in the pre-approval and like you're pointing at the pop-up text. It worked a couple of years ago. It doesn't work now. People just want that authentic, off-the-cuff content, and you can still deliver something of value that way. I'm 80-20, 80% personal, 20% my business. I view the business as a commercial. It's kind of like I got your attention for something like me eating at a South Beverly Grill once a week and eating Ding's chicken sandwich. It's such an image-focused profession, and I think I've always tried to show no, we're still humans. We're still everyday people. We just, have keys to houses.
Andrew Jevin, great to see you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Aaron.
We at Luxury Presence are huge fans of everything that you do, and we're stoked to dive into everything. But to start, can you share a little bit about your journey in real estate, what got you into the business, and how your approach has evolved over the past few years?
Yeah. My name's Andrew. I'm an agent here in Los Angeles. I'm with Compass. I've been with Compass now it's going to be 7 years out of the Santa Monica office. And I'll say I've been an agent now. It's going to be 11 years this summer. It definitely, the first couple of years was rough. Goes in waves. But I started using social media fairly quickly. I think I started using social media around 2015 for my business. I was at a brokerage where they had a great training program, but I found like it was like so old school, and like they wanted us to take out our phone on a Tuesday morning at 9:00 and just go start from the A's and just start calling people to tell them we got into real estate. And I'm like sitting there in this classroom, like, this cannot be my future. This cannot be my future. And I went home that day. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. So the next week, I came back and I went on Snapchat. And I would go on Snapchat and I would send my friends snaps. Hey guys, I just got into real estate. You know who to call. Like very just like low key, chill, no like sales pressure whatsoever. And I got like immediate engagement back. And then I started going out like on Caravan. So I quickly learned that like social media could be a really awesome tool, and it's free for my business, for my brand. And, every time something comes out like Instagram and then Instagram stories and then Instagram Reels, TikTok came into the picture as well. I just kept learning as much as I could to then be able to use it for my brand, for my business. And I think it's also helped me enjoy real estate is by doing a little bit of content creation at the same time. But that's kind of how I got started. And now I would say having social media is a crucial part of my business. Like if I didn't have it, my business would not be where it's at today.
That's awesome. Yeah, it seems like you really found your niche. You are clearly a master at this point, and you're now coaching other agents and have launched several successful social media courses as well, right?
Yeah. I started speaking I remember my first event was a Tom Ferry event in like 2018, 2019. And then afterwards I spoke at a Compass retreat in Miami in South Beach. And I like all of a sudden became like a leader in this field of like people coming to me, asking me questions. I was doing workshops on the West Side in Santa Monica at our office there. And I learned that I just wanted to help agents. At first, it was just kind of understanding Instagram and like, come up with a game plan, a strategy. But it's evolved into a little bit more of helping them like be their authentic selves on the platform and how they can bring themselves to the platform and create like a community and a tribe using specifically for me, it's Instagram. And yeah, it just turned into the speaking. Then COVID happened and everybody, in the first couple of weeks of COVID, it was a little bit of a shit show. And I launched my first online course. And now I think I've helped over 1,300 agents over the last 5 years have been in one of my courses that I've done. And I've done I do like 3-week boot camps. I do 8-week boot camps. I do all kinds of stuff just to keep agents motivated, inspired. And also I find like Instagram changes so much, so fast. So like the things that we weren't talking about Reels 4 years ago. Now we're talking about Reels, so it's just the platform itself is constantly changing. So I'm like adapting and changing with it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. Why Instagram? Are you on other platforms as well, or is
Yeah.
Instagram your full focus?
I'm on Facebook. I don't really use it. I find it's just annoying to me. I stopped using Facebook, I'd say like probably 2016 ish. TikTok, we had talked last week when we were talking. I'm a consumer ish on TikTok, but I'll tell you, like maybe I'm like an elder millennial, and it is hard for me to understand that platform, and I find that it's like casting too big of a net and wide reach. Where I feel like Instagram's the best of all the worlds. It's the best of Snapchat. It's the best of Facebook. It's the best of TikTok. Even the best of YouTube. And I there's no other social media platform that has a DM culture like Instagram. And I live and breathe in my DMs, and I feel like that's really where like you can start converting your followers to clients is through DMs and through like those conversations that you're having that then hopefully you can get out in like real life, coffee, a hike, dinner, go see a house. But I find it's the easiest to do for me on Instagram, and I don't get burnt. When I started on like I was starting to do some stuff on TikTok, I would get burnt out fast. I don't. I think it's like the hamster wheel would really burn me out. Whereas Instagram, I don't get burnt out because I really enjoy it, and I love being on there. Like I have nothing but positive things to say about Instagram.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. I agree. I think it's the perfect home-based platform that every agent should have a presence on. And I want to get into a lot of those strategies, your
Yeah,
DM strategies, your lead gen strategies. I also want to hear, obviously, what's working for you, but what's working for many of the agents that you're coaching right now? What's
yeah,
working really well right now, and what exactly isn't
yeah.
working the best?
Well, I'll say first that I didn't get to say here yet, and I think it's important to say is that Instagram is the best of all the worlds, I've said, but it's also like there's three pillars of Instagram that I use for my business. So one is my sphere, past clients, friends. The next one is that local content, when you're going out to a restaurant, tagging the restaurant, all that stuff. And then the last one is what I don't think agents realize is the power of the agent to agent referral on Instagram. And I remember when I started growing my account, a lot of agents started following me, and other agents that I was friends with were like, I don't want a lot of agents to follow me. Like, I don't want that. I'm like, no, you're not seeing big picture here because it's good for like your competitors. I mean, I don't really think anybody's a competitor, but your people in the same market to follow you because those relationships. I think everything really boils down to the agent to agent relationship in a transaction. So that helps. And then it also helps with either sending referrals out or getting referrals in. And Los Angeles, as you know, is a major market where people are coming in or people are leaving from other markets. So that's where I find like there's a triangle here. So local, agent to agent, and then my sphere, like my VIP, my A plus people. So I want agents to keep that in mind of why it's so important to be on Instagram first, and then you could do it all the other platforms if you want. But I find right now the local content is working the best. I feel like, and I could be wrong here, but most of our spheres are not buying or selling like they were a couple of years ago because interest rates are still so high. But they're always looking, they're always watching you. So I want to be a source of resources. I want to be a resource right now for all things local, Los Angeles. So if I'm going out to eat, I like to tag the restaurant. 9 out of 10 times, that restaurant's going to share it on their story. Now I'm in front of all of their hyper local followers here in LA, and I'm also supporting a small business. So that local content, I think right now is the best. I think like gone are the days like like 5 things you need in a pre-approval and like you're pointing at the pop-up text. It worked a couple of years ago. It doesn't work now. I also think the talking head videos. I forget what they call them. Like talk to the camera, TTCs maybe. Where like they're really like explaining stuff and they're highly produced and highly edited and very expensive. I don't think they work as much as they used to, and they cost a lot of money. Whereas like people just want that authentic, off the cuff content, and you can still deliver something of value that way. So yeah, I would say right now it's that local content, it's relatable content. It's when I'm thinking of something like, are people going to share this? Are they going to either share this on their stories, or are they going to share this in a DM to someone else? That's where I think is like the most important thing when you're creating a reel specifically is this shareable? And I find like the local content is because, you can, people want to know like what are the top 5 neighborhoods for someone moving to Los Angeles from New York. What would those neighborhoods be? I mean, it's my opinion of what those neighborhoods are, but it could cause some sort of conversation in my comments and then people sharing it. So I think that's what I find working. I'm like seeing it with agents right now. Like an agent in Miami DMs me and she's like, "Oh my god," she's like, "I have over 1,000 shares on my Miami, like places in Miami to eat reel." And now she's got to set up like a guide, like a downloadable asset that she can collect emails. Because I keep reminding people, I'm like, we don't own this land that we're playing on here for social media, any sort, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. It can go away. We saw what happened with TikTok for a day, and all hell broke loose. I'm trying to get as many emails as I possibly can. And I think like to create local content where you're giving somebody some sort of guide, collect their email first. Don't just give it the guide for nothing. Um,
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure. How are you collecting emails? Are you doing like a link tree situation in your
yeah.
bio? What is your CTA
I
like?
think Linktree is a great starter one. I think Linktree is great. They have a free version that's doable, very good. They also have like a pro version that is a little bit more customizable for brands and stuff, which I think is great. But you better be using it. Like I can't tell you how many agents I go in their link tree and it's like, look at my newest listing, and I click on it and it's like sold 3 years ago. I'm like, oh my god, you haven't even updated your LinkedIn in like 3 years. I actually use Stan Store. I love Stan, the app. I'm actually going to an event this week for them. Stan Store allows you, to also make money, and like I'm all about passive income right now of just growing a brand and having passive income from different avenues. But Stan Store also allows you to have multiple links. But I think an agent can just start with Linktree. And then Flowdesk, I love Flowdesk. It's an email software like Mailchimp. Flowdesk is $38 a month, and you can have unlimited amount of addresses. Whereas like Mailchimp starts charging for each like increment. And Flowdesk is just aesthetically, it's very nice. It's just a very nice software to use. I mean, you can create like a whole like workflow on there. Like I get a little geeked out on it, but I think Flowdesk in a combination with Linktree or Stanstore is the way to go.
Nice. Yeah, it's great advice.
Yeah,
Now, what kind of downloadables do you suggest agents create, and where are you creating them? How can agents
yeah,
create these types of kind of lead capturing
yeah.
devices?
Canva. Canva is I love Canva so much. Canva would be where I would start. And you can, like, I mean, there's templates already there for you where you can just like swap out and put pictures of like like you say, you're in New York, put pictures of New York, and maybe start like with one that's easily to manage for you. Like maybe it's like 10 of your favorite restaurants right now in New York. And then maybe that changes every quarter. I mean, you can get really like there's an agent, a friend of mine, her name is Jenna in New York, and she has like a whole New York City guide now that's got like the subways. Like if you're in this neighborhood, here are your subways. Here is your walk score. Here's like a little history of the neighborhood. It's probably like a 30-page guide. But that's a downloadable that she has. So like when she's making her reel, she's like comment guide, and I'll send you my New York City guide. So I would just say start with something small, maybe like 10 of your favorite restaurants in your town or city right now, and start there. It's definitely it's a project for sure, but I think to me like long term it could be the gift that just keeps giving
Yeah,
for you.
absolutely. I think the golden question is always, how do you capture leads on social media? And it's really difficult to capture them organically. You very rarely have someone just DMing you,
Yep.
asking you to come over for a listing appointment, or, asking to help purchase a property. It's, you have to take these more kind of active approaches. And I agree. I think these lead capturing methods are probably the best way on social, at least to do it kind of in an organic way, and you're not
Yeah.
sort of putting spend behind it. I want to talk a bit more about your like authentic style. You know, authenticity is such a big buzzword, but for a reason. I think you've mentioned it, and we hear it all the time. You know, we're getting sick of the just solds, the just listed content. It's just, it's not that effective. It does not help build your personal brand. You know, it has some merit in highlighting you as an expert, but the authentic posting your daily life, the things that truly matter to you, is so much more effective today on social media. But what does that look like in practice for you? And how do you balance that kind of personal life, authentic content with the real estate content? Because I still think it's an important part of social strategy to add that
Yeah.
real estate into it.
I've been saying this, oh my God, since 2018, probably, that I'm 80/20, 80% personal, 20% my business. I view the business as a commercial. It's kind of like the little, I got your attention for something like me eating at a South Beverly Grill once a week and eating Ding's chicken sandwich. Like I have your attention now. You're saying that you do the same thing, or you're asking me what Ding's chicken sandwich is. I have your attention. Then I'm going to slide in that I have a listing downtown LA right now that I need to sell. Like, so that's how I view it. I also, over the years, have learned that the more I share about myself and who I am, what I like, the things I'm working on, the things I need to work on about myself, that's where I'm becoming more relatable to people, and people are trusting me. They're feeling. Somebody said on a Compass call the other day, and I heard it, and I'm like, it's I'm taking it as a really big compliment. It's like, you're Andrew, like we see you, you're like everybody's brother at Compass. And I like that, because it's like I feel like I've made it so that like I'm in all kinds of just different groups. I'm not just like in one group at Compass, or I'm not just one person. I'm a couple different things, right? And the more and more I share about that, the more I'm becoming relatable to people, and I'm having relationships with people and friendships with people. That could be in the agent community. That could also be in just Los Angeles, in my sphere with my friends. Um, I think for a long time I'm gay, and for a long time I struggled with that growing up, and I hid myself, and probably even in my 20s I was hiding myself a lot at the time. And it wasn't until social media where I finally started like sharing about who I am, and seeing that just by me sharing who I am, I can relate to someone that I might not even be gay, but they could just be struggling with something. Um, So I feel like that has been huge for me. Talking about my dad dying at a young age. My dad died when he was 61, 13 years ago, 12 years ago, I guess. And that was every year on the anniversary of his death, when I share that, like the DMs start coming in of other people that have just lost a parent, have lost a parent, are struggling with some sort of grief. Whereas like that's where I'm creating a relationship, and it's by being vulnerable, by sharing a little bit. I can tell you it's scary, it's not easy, but I feel like it does get easier each time you do it. And I enjoy doing it. I enjoy creating trust with people, and like making people feel seen and heard when they're with me, and like that it's a safe place. And I feel like my clients feel the same way when I'm working with them, and we're in these high stress situations, and I feel like the couples specifically that I'm working with, they feel very safe with me. Where like, I mean, I'll never forget. One of them started fighting in the middle of a house, and I'm sitting on the couch in between them, and we're like, we're having the three of us like just a full on conversation about how they both feel about this process, and it brought up so many crazy things, and I'm just like sitting there, I'm like, oh my god, I'm not a therapist, what am I doing here? So I feel like just that is, by being myself on that end, has also helped me with clients. And I don't dress up. This is what I'll probably wear to a showing later on this afternoon, and my clients appreciate that. They appreciate I am who I am, and I show up who I am, and who I portray on social media. I show up as that person in real life too. I think a lot of agents, because of Selling Sunset and shows like that. They don't. It's all like glam. It's all, it's an image. Real estate's such an, specifically in big cities, it's such an image focused profession, and I think I've always tried to show like, no, we're still humans. We're still everyday people. We just, you know, have keys to houses. I can't even say like, like that's what we do. Like I want people to also respect what we as agents do. And I don't think shows like Selling Sunset and what a lot of agents do on social media, we just are so image focused. We don't show our worth. We don't show our value. And I think that's what's gotten us here.
Yeah, that's such an important message. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
More people need to hear it. And put that into practice. Absolutely. I think, people want to work with people,
Mm-hmm.
and the more you can showcase who you are, and build those emotional connections, the more effective you can grow your business. And social media is such a great tool for doing that. What sort of things on social do you leverage to kind of showcase who you are in an authentic way? Are you just posting reels? Maybe they're storytelling, or are you on, stories, posting snapshots from your day? What does that kind of look like?
I'll tell you, I think stories are a great way. I mean, that's really where you can, it's off the cuff. It only lasts 24 hours. We know like nothing bad can really happen in 24 hours of you on there. I think that's the best way to just create those relationships. And also a story is a better way to get a DM because people are able to DM you right from the story versus like a reel or a post. The reels and the posts, they're intentional content. When you're putting that out there, you're intentional of what's behind it. What do you want from it? But with stories, I can show all kinds of stuff. I can show if I'm out on a walk with the dog. I can show if I'm at a restaurant, what I'm eating. I can show what I'm having as a cocktail that night. I can show what workout I'm doing. That is just that off the cuff of get to know me. And then the reels are to attract, because reels are really, I think, reels are mostly meant for attracting new people to your content, right? Like I want, when I'm in reels mode, I'm trying to attract more people, more people, more people. When I'm in story mode, which is most of the time, all the time, that's when I'm trying to just nurture my relationship with my followers. Because then over time, I feel like that's how you can convert them to clients that either need to buy, sell, or I actually think the other one's the most important one, and that's refer.
Absolutely. Let's talk about some of those referrals. What is your referral strategy on social media?
What I try to do now is I know over the what I did, I was doing like ninja selling for a bit, which was a great program. And I wrote down all my sales for like a 2 or 3 year time period and where they came from. A lot of sphere, and then a lot of agent to agent. And then I looked to see where those people were coming from to LA or where I was sending them to. New York's my biggest one by far. I have a lot of friends in New York City. I know a lot of real estate agents in New York City, so it makes sense. The other one is the Bay Area. Get a lot of referrals from that, and then San Diego. So those are my top three where I'm getting them in. Where I'm sending them out is Nashville, Texas, and Florida, which makes sense again, right? When I'm trying to create relationships with agents around the country, those are my primary areas. And then Philly, because I'm from there. So it's just good for me to have as many agents in Philly that I can refer out from friends from growing up and family. But every time like I'm in New York City, I always make it a point to have a happy hour with agents in New York, go to a couple of the different offices in New York City and just hang out for an afternoon or a morning. Just because I want people to see me off social media and in real life to get to build those relationships to get referrals. I think also just I make it a point that people know that I'm an agent in Los Angeles. I can't tell you how many agents that I see on Instagram. I have no idea where they're an agent. I have no idea where they work. And I'll like get questions about, hey, Andrew, do you know an agent in Lake Tahoe? Do you know an agent in Idaho? Do you know an agent in Salt Lake? And if I don't know an agent in that area, the first thing I do is I go on Instagram, I type in real estate agent or realtor, and then the location, and people will show up. If you don't have your location in your bio, you're not showing up. And I feel like you could be missing out on opportunities there because of that. So that would be again another strategy that I use is just making my content and specifically stories are very Los Angeles heavy because I want to remind people where I do business.
Do you tag your location in posting your stories?
A lot of times, yeah, oh yeah. Every time I'm doing a restaurant, I not only tag the restaurant, but I also use the location feature of the restaurant. I know like for me, like that's how I find out about travel destinations is on Instagram through the maps. And I like to watch like random stories in like Mexico or Mexico City, and like you just like get to see like what life is like there. I remember I used to do that on Snapchat all the time, like 10 years ago. Uh, so yeah, I think it's really important to use the location feature because it's just opening up the opportunity to be in front of people that don't follow you and don't know who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you mentioned something super important, which was placing your market in your Instagram bio. What are some other tips and tricks and ways agents need to be kind of optimizing their bio?
Yeah. So you got to make sure you go by your local rules. I got to say it here in California, you got to put your DRE number in there. But I would say have your brokerage in there. Like yeah, I refer out beyond just Compass, but a lot of the referrals here at Compass, where I'm an agent, stay within the network. So I feel like that's important to have on there. The location. Um, I want people to know when they land on my page what they're like a little bit of like who I am, what, where, when, why type situation. And then I want to like have like something that's pointing down to resources to a link tree or to a stand store. So that like for more information, go here. Right. I think it's also important to pin posts. Highlights. I'm on the fence about highlights. I actually just took mine down recently, all of them. I like when they're on people. Like I love travel highlights. I love watching people's travel highlights, but I found over the years that people don't update their highlights, and I was guilty of it too. That's why I probably took mine down. But I love the fact that we can pin our top three posts. I think agents don't understand like you don't necessarily have to pin most your most viewed posts. I think you want to like what I pin is what's the best representation of who I am when you land on my page. So I was featured in the New York Times for Instagram or the Wall Street Journal for Instagram. So I have that article pinned to the top. Um, I have the event that's coming up pinned to the top, and then I have, I think, maybe when I was in the Real Trends 1.5% thing, that I have that because I want people when they land on my page to see, hey, he's an agent, he knows what he's talking about, he's successful, this is who he is. Um, I You can change them out every quarter if you want, but don't pick your most viewed reel if that isn't like what you want people to see when they first land on your page, because I want people to follow me when they're landing on my page. So that would be another one, is pinning the post.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Tell the story of you through those, pin posts. I think they almost take the job of what highlights were supposed to be, and does it in a more effective way. Yeah, those are all great tips. I'd love to hear a little more about your kind of DM strategy and how you're using DMs to potentially generate leads on social.
Yeah. So ManyChat comes in there. ManyChat, I think, is a great app. What I love so much about ManyChat is that when you see those automated things where it says like comment guide and I'll send you my LA guide. And then like all of a sudden, like within a second, you have a link to a page to put your email address in, a lead magnet. They're all done through ManyChat, and ManyChat has a relationship with Instagram. So it's good. It's not like Instagram's going to like flag for something because Instagram does do that. I love ManyChat. I think that's a huge part of your DM strategy when you want to automate things. And then it's taking the time. Like I try to go on my phone through my DMs twice a day, once in the morning, once in like the early evening to respond to DMs. I found that if I don't set that time, I'll lose DMs. And they can just like all of a sudden they just like disappear and they'll like come back again. So I want to make sure that I'm not missing any conversation that's important. And like I'll take 15 minutes in the morning and I'll just like go through my stories and I'll comment on people's reels or I'll comment on their stories and just like open up conversations. I tell people right now, like I'm in this stage of my business of my life where I'm all about creating conversations, whether that's online, offline. I just want to be out and about creating conversations so that when these rates do start coming down a bit, like I have a nice, healthy pipeline of stuff that's ready to go. So that's what I would say is for their DMs is just when someone does DM you, DM them back. It's the same thing when people comment on a reel or on a post. If you get a comment, at the least you could do is at least like it. But I would say you should go a step further and comment back because it's so strange to me when you see like an agent will like say like they just got on Real Trends or something like that, and they'll have like 25, 30 comments. Hey, way to go, congrats. And like that agent didn't even acknowledge anything.
Yeah, I agree. That baffles me as well because it's free engagement. You're going to double the amount of comments just by replying, which triggers the algorithm significantly. So, yeah, agents, when you get a comment, you should absolutely, like Andrew said, at the very least, like it, but why not reply?
Replying. That's how you build community on Instagram is by acknowledging people and making people feel seen, heard, that they're taking the time out to leave a comment. Respond.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you encourage DMs, or what are some of the ways that you are doing kind of like the cold comments to spark conversation?
Yeah. If I'm doing it through stories, I think anytime you use like the quiz feature or you use some sort of one of the Instagram features, that usually can spark a DM from somebody that's viewing it. And it usually will spark a DM from me if I'm watching it. That's a big one. I think travel, when you're at a new destination or you're out traveling, whether you want to do it in the moment of you traveling or when you get back and you want to post some stuff, I think traveling always builds some sort of relationship. I think, again, ManyChat, if I'm posting a reel and I just want to get a DM for guide or for some sort of link, would be a huge one. I think posting a about me post, like a 10 things about me post, is a good one to get DMs and to get like comments. I find like the static real estate ones just don't do it. A just sold does not do it. Just listed does not do it. They are important for our business, so I understand why we have to do them. But if you're going to do them, you need to counter it with something that's more local, or you need to counter it with something that is like about who you are as a brand and a business. So I hope that answered the question. But I feel like, yeah, it's that's how I would. That's how I live and breathe in my DMs. Really.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Do you do any, I guess, version of prospecting through DMs, like cold DMing people who maybe have mutuals or anything like that?
No, I don't. No, I don't. I just don't feel I have the bandwidth to do that right now. What I found though that like so say like I'm out on Broker's Caravan, which is on a Tuesday here in Los Angeles, and if I'm out, it's I like to post that I'm on the caravan, a little bit of things about the house. I can see who's watching my story. It's always the same people. Usually what that will do is that it opens up a conversation, be like, oh my God, we've been dying to get into Silver Lake. But first we have to sell our condo in West Hollywood. And then I'll say, well, let's chat. Like we should chat in the next few months. Or like I recently got a set of buyers, clients of mine. I got them into a new house without having to sell their house now. And then I also got them to get a rate buy down from the seller of the new place. So like I posted a little bit about that on my stories. And then I said, like, if for those of you that are in this situation, shoot me a DM. Well, then I had 9 people, past clients, say that's what's holding us back. So then it opened up conversations where it's like, okay, actually one of them, then we did end up doing it. The other ones, they're still got to wait for this rate drop. But now it's like, I know they're watching. And so I just keep making sure that I'm checking in on them somehow, usually through Instagram, and just keeping it like very like low key, not no pressure, where it's like, if it's a kid's birthday, making sure I say happy birthday. If it's a job promotion, making sure, like, if it's something that's on Deadline, one of the entertainment news websites here in LA, like, I'll share it on my story, like, to congrat a friend that maybe just got like a VP role, because I know that that's important, and like he's most likely going to share that in front of his followers. So I don't feel the need to have to like just start cold DMing people, whereas I'd rather do it like more organically and socially, like of just like getting my name out there and putting myself out there and celebrating my friends and my sphere so that they reshare who I am on their pages.
Yeah, absolutely. I think those strategies make complete sense. Do you have any agents or realistically anyone who you feel is doing an excellent job on social media that people can look to for inspiration right now?
I get that question a lot. And no offense to real estate agents, I don't get too inspired by most of them. But there are a few. Matt Leonetti, I think he's out of Toronto, Canada, with Real Brokerage. I think he is just so great with the art of storytelling on a reel. I think Holly Meyer Lucas is just, again, being authentic. I love just people that are real. So that I love, like her. I love. I also like non-real estate. I love JT Barnett. He is like
JT is a good friend of mine.
I love JT.
That's
Um,
awesome.
he is. I think like he's just so he's about building a community on Instagram. He was big on TikTok, as you know, and did all that. And I found him through Instagram, and just watching him, like I tell him, I'm like, I just think that you're an inspiration for people that are building community, that have left another profession. He used to be a hockey player, as you know, obviously, and then he came into this world of content creation and being a business owner now. So I always find him to be I'm always inspired by him. Uh, and then, like there's like just random like YouTube vloggers and like people like that. Like I'm more inspired by content creators and people that think outside the box than I am like an actual real estate agent, for me personally.
Yeah, I agree. And totally agree with all those people you just mentioned. Definitely go check them all out. You can learn a lot from just engaging with their content. But let's talk about building a community for a little bit. You put a big emphasis on that. Building a community both online and offline. Why is that important to you? Why should agents care about building a community? How does that impact your business?
I think building a community is so important for us as agents, and it's building a community of like sphere of actual, like I call them W-2s, people, not agents, people that don't have to worry about content creation for their job. Must be nice. I think it's so important to build a community with them, because they're the ones that are, screaming. I want people to be screaming my name in a room I'm not in. And how I'm going to do that is by building a community and a tribe on social media. And then also you got to carry it over to in real life too. So that's how that's the first one. And then with agents, I think agents are, as annoying as some of us may be at times, like I feel like we're the most supportive. Like, it takes a lot to be one of us, right? Like mentally, like why do we put ourselves through this? So I think like that is important, of like having a tribe like that, because like sometimes like I'll look at my stuff and the only people that like or comment on my stuff are other agents, even though I know my sphere, my friends are watching. They're always watching. They bring it up if I'm with them at dinner, but do I ever see a comment from them? Never. Whereas agents do, like we build up, we up, like we support each other in a whole different way. So I think like that's also important. And I think like it's karma, and it comes back down to business. It comes back down to referrals, and of like someone saying, hey, like my uncle's moving to, like, got to move to LA. Like, is there an agent? And like maybe they're like in DC with another agent, and that agent might be like, oh my God, you got to call Andrew. I know I can't work with everybody, and nor should I. Obviously, you can't. But I at least want to be like in the top 3 to 5 of agents when people think in my tribes, in my communities, when people think of Los Angeles. I want to be in at least the top 5 that they think of. So I think like that's kind of how you do it, is just by, and then that's going into events and going to retreats and Tom Ferry and Inman and all the things, and creating relationships with people, with lenders, real estate professionals, agents. And I think when you're in your town doing it, but doing it with small business owners, like, I used to go to Orange Theory Santa Monica a lot back in the day, and I became friends with the owners of that location, and I would always post my all my stories. I would always post my workout, or I'd post a picture like of how many splat points I got, all that stuff, and I would tag Orange Theory Santa Monica. They'd always reshare it on their page. I ended up doing 9 deals from people that I went to class with at Orange Theory over like a 3-4 year time period. And now she recently opened up a Restore Hyper Wellness in Santa Monica and like Marina, and now like invited me in to do cryo and to do all the sauna and the infrared red light and stuff. And it's just like supporting her. And so, like a real estate agent, I think to me is like the digital mayor. I've always thought of like a real estate agent in a community always knows everybody, right? Like growing up, there was a lady that lived in our community, and I couldn't figure out why she was always at the bus stop, but she had no kids, or maybe her kids were like grown adults. And I remember asking my mom, and my mom was like, "Well, she's a real estate agent. She just is so dialed in. She always knew like not everybody like business, but like just knew what was going on." And I think like that's always the real estate agent that I am attracted to, and that I love being around, is that real estate agent that just knows everything about like where to go for this. Oh, you need a handyman? Call this guy. You need this? Get this done. I think those are the real estate agents to me that stand out the most. And they formed and they built a community within their community. It's pretty cool.
Very cool. I love that. That's also a great story. I love that you're so forward thinking with your digital presence and leveraging social media, but you're able to bridge the gap and still recognize the importance of in-person community, in-person connection. I think that's so great. And one of the ways you've been able to build in-person community is through your own event, Social Summit, which you launched a few years ago, the first one. Would love to hear more about Social Summit. What inspired you to create it, and how did it all begin?
You know what inspired me to create it was the agents that are in my community now, and they wanted an in-person event where we could all be together. And I was like, okay, well, let's do it. And I'm always like, I don't think of things through. I don't think things through a lot. It's probably the ADHD in me. I just like, I just react. And sometimes I fail, and sometimes I succeed. You never know what you're going to get. But I feel like the last social summit had like 200 agents. Came in to a suburb outside of Philadelphia where I grew up. We had like a historical theater, and it was a day filled with talks and panels. And we had a panel on agent to agent referrals. We had a panel on Instagram stories. Had a panel on creating events for your clients, like client appreciation events. And it was so great to just have all these agents together. And the night before, there were maybe 60 of us at dinner, and I looked around the room and I was like, wow, like this is such a, I got to see how much of an impact that I've made in a short time with real estate agents, and just also the impact that they've all made with each other and the relationships they all have with each other. And so a couple months, go by, and they're like, well, when's the next one? I was like, oh my God, we got to do another one. Shit. So this one, I was like, well, we're going to do it closer to home, and we're going to do it in Los Angeles. Supposed to be the beginning of February, and when I was getting ready to do a huge launch with it, the fires happened, and I just I mean, as you know, it was and still is a very painful time out here in Los Angeles. But I also knew it was important for people to come to LA to support our city. So many of my friends own restaurants or work at restaurants, and the businesses are struggling. From COVID, actor strike, writer strike, now fires. So it was important for me to still have it. And I was like, well, how can I do this? How can I, pivot, but still keep the content and keep the speakers, but then maybe make it bigger. And what I came to the conclusion was if I get more sponsors, I can offset costs, and then I can have money that I can donate to fire relief here in Los Angeles. And after the fires happened, so many agents from all over the country, how can we help? How can we help? They wanted to come clean up stuff. I'm like, I can't have you doing that. We want to help. And I feel like after every disaster, there's a huge like moment where everybody's there, like donating money, donating clothes for a couple of weeks, and then like it's on to the next one, right? But the people are still struggling in the place that had the disaster. So I feel like having people come to LA, support our restaurants, but also get to network, learn and be educated and be inspired by to me forward thinkers in the real estate profession and content creation profession, and then also like give them an opportunity to volunteer their time to get back to LA. Like that's like the best combination of all the things to me. So thankfully, all the speakers could keep the new date, and I got even more some more sponsors. Thank you, Luxury Presence. And now it's going to be cool because people are coming here to support our city. And I love Los Angeles. I've been here. It's going to be in April. It's going to be 20 years. And I want people to see the amazing things of LA. I think like I don't know how long you've lived here, but there's always people talking smack about LA. And yes, some of it is very, very well deserved. But I think there's like, so what I saw from the fires was like just how much like of a community here in LA we actually have. So yeah, I'm really excited to have it. I'm a little stressed, but it's going to be a great event. And Matt Leonetti is going to be there. Holly Meyer Lucas, Shelton Wilder, um, Giselle Urgati is going to be speaking about like confidence. Taya DeCarlo, Chris Benyahin, and then we have a couple different panels. Have somebody speaking on LinkedIn, podcasting, if that's something that people want to do. I think we might even have a live podcast being recorded on stage. And yeah, it's going to be a great event. And I am just so inspired and motivated by seeing the excitement that people have around it. Is what kind of just keeps me going, to be honest.
Awesome. Yeah, Luxury Presence is honored and very excited to be sponsoring the event, be a sponsor of the event. Seems like an incredible production you're putting on at the Saban Theater in Beverly Hills, March 19th, which is just in a few days. I know the main event is on one day, but you were telling me before you're kind of spreading out a few other activities during the week. Is that right?
Yeah, so we're gonna have like a welcome happy hour at a friends of mine, Carlin Nelson and Lacey Register have like their biggest listing they've ever had, a $12 million listing up in Beverly Hills that the seller has graciously are allowing us to have a Twilight open house there. So we're gonna have an open house there, just to kind of like the people from LA can come, but also to welcome the people that are coming from outside of LA to Los Angeles, and having it be a nice Twilight happy hour. And then on the Tuesday, so then that's Tuesday night, events Wednesday. Thursday morning, I'm actually just got an email right before this call that I'm going to have 40 slots to fill for at the West Side Food Bank in Santa Monica on Thursday. So people that have wanted to volunteer, I'm going to be there, and we're going to be like, I think, packing lunches for victims from the fire, because yes, there are still victims. And then I'm also going to have like at the event, I'm going to have like blank thank you cards that we are going to write to firefighters and first responders, and be able to drop them off here in Los Angeles. So there's just going to be a little bit of something for everyone of how they want to show up, and or how they can show up. I want to make sure that I have something for everyone. So there's going to be different some different avenues to go down.
I love it. What a wonderful event. Andrew, we can't wait for Social Summit 2.0. It's going to be such an amazing time. Is there anything else you'd like to share about Social Summit or, what you're working on right now with our audience?
I would just say if you're here in California specifically, come join us. The socialsummit2025.com is the link. It's also in my bio on Instagram. And then just I would say I was telling agents the other day on a call, like in 2025, like let's just like let loose a little and have fun. Doesn't have to get so deep and be so scary in the real estate world and content world here on Instagram. So that would be my one tip for 2025 is just like have fun.
I love that. I learned a ton from you. I'm sure our audience gained a lot from this conversation. We will absolutely throw all of your social links and ways to find you in our description, as well as information about Social Summit 2.0. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. It helps us out a lot. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Presence Podcast.